Welcome to my Skyline 10 nade guide. Now this is not meant to be a comprehensive list of every nade that you can throw on this map, and some of them may seem kind of obvious. This guide is for both players who are experienced and want to learn some new, more technical nades, and for players who have never used nades before and want to get into it. Now, before we get into the actual nade spots, let's talk about why someone chooses nades. Nades are a great beginner gadget because you can utilize them effectively almost immediately. There are obviously nade lineups, but even just throwing nades at obvious spots when people are pushing can be super successful. There isn't really a downside to nades, but one can say that if you don't utilize them effectively, you are kind of wasting them. Nades are great as an information tool, they're also great for damage, and they're also great for space control. So if a person isn't utilizing them effectively, it can be viewed as a negative. But that's what this nade guide is for. So let's jump into the different nade lineups that can help you be a great nade player on Skyline 10. You throw the A-frame ramp nade off of this beam, which makes it land on the ground pretty quickly. You can change where on the beam you throw it to have different effects, but I tend to have the most success when I throw it near the top. As you can see, this nade lands at the bottom of the ramp near the blue barrels, and it's a perfect nade to throw when the opponents are straight rushing A. The second you hear footsteps, you can throw them and pair it with the A entry nade, which is shown next, to have maximum effect. This is the A-frame entry nade. Thrown off the similar beam, just the closer one. Again, you can throw it anywhere on the beam for different areas that it lands, but I tend to have the most success when I throw it right in the middle. This is a great follow-up nade if the opponents are straight rushing A. You threw the other A-frame nade to get the early damage, and then by the time you throw this nade, they're up close, and you're able to do even more damage, and sometimes even secure some kills. The tentacle nade is a little bit more complex. You want the bottom of your throw trajectory line to line up with the bottom of this crossbeam, and it needs to be in the middle of this electrical box in this AC unit. This is a great nade for when people are trying to bait out your nades on ramp. Usually one person will be running up, hoping to get your nades. A lot of times people hide in tentacle. I've had a lot of success with it. It's one of my most frequently used nades. For the hot dog stairs nade, you want to line up next to this door and you look towards A ramp. Make sure that the bottom end of your throw trajectory is over the wall and it lines up or is below this blue section of the wall. This nade is perfect to throw early round if you have a feeling that they're going to come A. If you throw it at 143 or 142 left on the round clock, it will land perfectly for people who are running up, so you can get early info on whether they're going to be sitting outside A or not. This is my most requested nade. This one is a little bit more complex of a lineup. If you can see the edge of this building, you need your reticle in line with that. And you want it about a third up from this metallic grate on the right side. The complex part of this nade is you need to throw this nade by jumping and releasing at the apex of your jump. If you do the wrong timing, the nade will explode too high. But this is my most effective nade by far. No one expects it to actually happen. A lot of people don't even know you can get naded on storage stairs. This is a great nade to throw when you have a teammate on elbow that can give you information that they are in storage or on storage stairs. It's also a great nade if they're just sitting storage. You know that they're there, they're not pushing up. You can tend to hit a lot of people with this one. The quarter defense nade is one that you need to have in your back pocket. It's pretty simple to line up. You just want to make sure that the nade is bouncing off this left wall, because if you don't bounce it off the left wall, it will just go really far and likely won't hit anyone, and if it does hit someone, it will be one person. Oftentimes people try to rush corridor from middle. So this nade is perfect if they are doing that. The second you see someone, if you bounce a nade or two off this side wall, you're likely to hit numerous people. Sometimes you don't want to stick around for both nades, but if you hit one and you follow it up with a nade that's a little bit closer as they're pushing corridor, you can do a lot of damage. The default plant nade is a pretty simple lineup as well. You want to sit in the corner of the fence in shops. You need to make sure that the end of your throw reticle is right in this part of the fence. This will land perfectly on the A default plant spot and do a lot of damage. It also works with the side of blue bins, which is a very common plant spot. I've only been able to use this nade on a handful of situations when we're playing really passive. This is just a fun one to know. It's not really going to be used all that often. The right side Hiroki nade is one of the most basic nades you could possibly have on this map. There isn't really a specific lineup. You just want to make sure that you're throwing from cover, and you want to make sure that you hit the back wall of right side Hiroki. If you hit the lower side of the back wall, it's going to stay up by the pillar if people are up top. If you hit the upper part, it's going to drop down below. This is a great nade to throw off the beginning of the round if they tend to try to take mid control. It's also really good because people tend to try to sit on Hiroki pillar and get some shots down mid, and if they do that, you can punish them pretty heavily with this. B main nade is one of the biggest staples, and another nade that's pretty simple. This is a nade people often throw at the start of the round to see if there's a B rush happening and maybe do some damage. Really, it doesn't matter where you throw it as long as you get it out this window, and make sure that your reticle's in this yellow bottom part, which signifies that it's going to hit the ground out there. You can adjust it left and right. If you throw it more right, it's going to go towards concourse wall. If you throw it more left, it's going to go outside concourse wall, more towards Hiroki. This is a really good info nade that can also do some damage just to let you know if they're rushing B or not. Another very simple nade, but a very effective one that you should know and utilize as much as you can, is the Helen Cubby nade. Oftentimes in post plants or when offensive teams are pushing the site, someone will go into Hell or Cubby, sometimes two, maybe even three people. This is a nade that can do a lot of damage, and outside of a bubble, there's no way that they can defend themselves. If they want to try to escape the nade, they're going to be coming right into your crosshair, so make sure to have your gun out afterwards. This nade is obviously very good if you know people are there, but it's also a great way to clear out Hell if you're doing a retake and you're not quite sure where enemy positions are. Hell is a very strong position, and if you know that no one's there, you can focus your attention elsewhere. The quarter box nade is a very important nade because it is common that opponents on defense will be sitting on the quarter box either jump peeking to see if they get any information, or they're going to be peeking aggressively. This nade often hits one or two people depending on how their defensive structure is set up. The only thing you really need to know is you want the end of your throw projection line to be behind the boxes. So you want to bounce it off that wall, but don't go too high, because if you hit the chain link fence, it will just go through it and your nade will be useless. This nade is very good to throw at the beginning of the round to get some damage if you know someone's corridor. It's also good information play to know if they're playing corridor pretty aggressively. This is probably the second most complex nade in this tutorial, and is just an alternative way to really throw that corridor nade early if you know that the opposing team pushes out middle pretty heavily and takes aggressive positions in either outside drywall, elbow, or corridor. Right as the barrier goes down, you can throw this nade, and if timed correctly, you can hit people coming out of sushi. To line up this nade, you want to look at the left side of this building and this bracket, make sure those are aligned. You want to throw the nade between this upright part of this railing and that line. Make sure that you jump and throw it, and this is going to land right by corridor and outside sushi. The drywall wheelbarrow nade is pretty hard to miss. As long as you bank this nade off this back wall, you're going to hit the people that are in top drywall. Oftentimes people will play that wheelbarrow close to drywall, hoping that people will push, and this is an easy way to know if 1, they're there, or 2, you can do some damage and push them back. This is a great information nade that doesn't have a lot of damage potential, but can help you take drywall pretty effectively. Pretty commonly when you push B on offense, someone is going to be sitting head glitch. This nade is a great way to know if they're sitting head glitch and do some damage and push them off that position. It's a pretty simple lineup. You want to make sure that you look at this left yellow beam and the leftmost upright orange beam and just throw somewhere in the middle between there and make sure that the end of your throw projection line is near the bottom of this wall, and you're going to hit the person on head glitch and know if they're there. After you've taken B site, one of the most common places the opponents come from is drywall because they have a lot of cover, and it's a very quick rotate from either elbow if they push through A or corridor if they push from A, and oftentimes they'll clump up maybe 2 or 3 people in upper drywall. This nade is great to do damage to those people that are sitting there trying to fight either AC2 or B2. And like most nades, it's a great information tool to know if someone is sitting upper drywall, which allows you to focus your attention elsewhere. It's pretty simple to throw. Just make sure that the nade bounces off the upper part of this wall so it lands at the top of the stairs instead of the bottom. But as a variation, you can throw it as low as you can go against that wall, and it will land at the bottom of the stairs and hit anyone who is sitting below heaven. The sushi nade is another one of those incredibly easy nades, but it's one that is super effective on offense. If a team is playing pretty passively, oftentimes they'll have someone in either right or left side sushi. This is a great nade to throw just to get some early damage. You don't really need to have a lineup, just make sure that the end of your throw projection line is inside sushi, and you'll know if someone's sitting close. Another pretty simple nade is the A heaven nade. This is a very common one if you've taken the A site and you're in a post plant and you hear that people are sitting in heaven. Or if you're doing a corridor push and you want to clear out close heaven, you can use this nade. It's pretty simple. All you got to do is bounce it off this section of the wall. Make sure that you're looking at where the curve is. It needs to be in the flat section of the wall. A lot of this will depend on the angle in which you're throwing it from, but make sure you're throwing it off the flat section of the wall, because if you throw it off the curve, it's just going to come right back at you. Well, that's it for my nade guide. To close it out, I'm including some clips of me using these nades in actual gameplay. One final thought that I forgot to include in the beginning of the video: make sure that you're switching up your nade positions. If you always sit on A, your opponents are going to know that you're A and they're going to go elsewhere. So make sure to throw nades all over the map. Let me know if this was helpful so I can know whether or not to do this for other maps. Or if you guys want me to go more in-depth in nades, I can create an actual nade guide instead of nade lineups. Special thanks to Adapts and XDev for helping me film this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.